In this video, I'm going to walk you through the entire Borumi workflow, from planning your video through recording and editing. We are going to cover the important concepts and the tips that will help you get started quickly. So let's jump into it. Borumi is designed to guide you through the entire video creation process, but not everyone creates videos in the same way. In general, especially when you're creating educational content like tutorial, courses, and product demos, there are two main approaches. The first approach is the structured approach. This means that before recording, you decide the structure of your video. Maybe you write a full script, or maybe you just create a bullet point outline with the main sections you want to cover. For example, for this video, I divided the tutorial into different sections: scripting, recording, editing, etc. This makes the entire process much easier because before I start recording, I already know what I'm going to say and in which order. And more importantly, Borumi lets me record each section individually, so I don't need to nail the entire video in one long take. The second approach is the quick recording approach. This is useful when you don't want to prepare a script or structure in advance. Maybe you are recording a short explanation or a quick internal video or something more spontaneous. In that case, you can go straight into recording and then organize or edit everything later. Both approaches are totally valid, but in this video we're going to start with a structured workflow because that's usually the best way to understand how Borumi works. Later, I'll also show how quick recording fits into the same workflow. Let's start with a structured video. Here we are inside Borumi's scripting tool. The most important concept to understand here is the concept of scenes. In Borumi, your video is not treated as one giant recording. Instead, it is split into individual scenes. You can think of a scene as a chapter or section of your video. Your scenes can be as short or as long as you want. If you're making short-form content for TikTok, Instagram Reels, or YouTube Shorts, your scene might be very short, maybe just 1 or 2 sentences. But if you're making a long tutorial, each scene might be several minutes long. Some people even record very long scenes, but in general, I recommend keeping each scene under around 20 minutes because it keeps the recording and editing process much more manageable. Now, inside the script tool, you can decide how detailed your script should be. You can write simple bullet points, but you can also go one step further and write a word-by-word script where you write exactly what you're going to say. This is especially useful if you want to make a very polished video, if you want a strong hook, or if English is not your native language and you want a bit more guidance. Personally, I often use a mix of both. For example, I might script the intro word for word because I want the hook to be very precise. Then for the rest of the video, I might use bullet points and improvise a little. And if you do write a word for word script, Borumi also has a built-in teleprompter, which we'll cover later in the video. Now, one important thing to mention is that many of you might prepare your script outside of Borumi. Maybe you wrote it in Google Docs, Word, Notion, or maybe use ChatGPT to help you refine the structure. That's totally fine. For now, the easiest way to import a script into Borumi is to simply copy it from your writing app and paste it straight into Borumi script editor. One important thing to keep in mind is that each paragraph gets imported as a separate scene. And this can be actually very useful. For example, let's say you have a long script and you want each major section to become its own scene. What you can do is paste your script into ChatGPT and say something like, please restructure the script so that each scene is one paragraph. Then you can copy and paste the result into Borumi, and each paragraph will become its own scene. That's pretty much it for the scripting part. Once your scenes are ready, we can move on to the recording. If you started from a structured video, you'll notice that all your scenes already appear on the right side, each with its own recording block ready to go. This is one of the main advantages of preparing the structure first. Borumi already knows the sections of your video, so you can simply go scene by scene and record them one at a time. Now, if you started with a quick record instead, this area would be empty because you didn't prepare scenes in advance. And that's also totally fine. You can always move between the script tool, the record tool, and the edit tool using the toolbar at the bottom, so you're not locked into one workflow. You can start with a script, then record, then go back and adjust the script, or you can start recording first and add structure later. But in this case, since we prepared a structure video, we already have our scene list ready. Now let's record the first scene. For the intro, I only need to record my camera and microphone, and I don't need the screen, so I'm going to turn it off. Then I'm going to click record. Now Borumi opens the recorder window, and there are a few important things to understand here. First, this recorder window does not appear in the final video, so you can place it wherever you want on your screen, and it will not be captured in the final export. Second, if you prepared a script for this scene, you will see the script appear while you are recording. This works like a lightweight teleprompter, so you can follow your notes or your word-for-word script without getting lost. And if you want, you can enable auto-scroll. so your script scrolls automatically as you speak. We'll cover the teleprompter more in detail later, but for now just know that if you wrote a script, Borumi can help you follow it during recording. Once I'm done, I can click stop. Now Borumi shows me a preview of what I recorded, and this is where I can quickly sanity check the take. I can make sure the microphone sounds good, the camera looks fine, and nothing went wrong during the recording. If I'm not happy with it, I can always try again. And if I'm happy with it, I can click Confirm Take. One important thing to know is that confirming a take does not mean you're stuck with it forever. If you later decide you want to re-record that scene, you can simply go back and press record. Borumi keeps all your previous takes unless you choose to delete them. And this is very useful because it means you can record multiple attempts and later decide which one you want to use. So let's quickly explain the difference between active and archived takes. A take is simply one attempt at recording a scene. If you record the intro 3 times, you now have 3 takes for that scene. The active take is the one that will appear in the final video. Archived takes are saved, but they will not appear in the final export. So if you record a bad take, or if you record a better version later, you can archive the old one. You can do that by right-clicking and archiving it, or by dragging it into the archived area. And if you want to bring a take back, you can drag it into the active area. The key thing to remember is this: anything in the active area appears in the final video. Anything in the archive area is saved, but it's not used. This gives you a lot of flexibility while recording. Another useful thing is that Borumi makes it easy to fix mistakes in your structure. For example, when you're getting started, you might accidentally record 2 different parts of your video inside the same scene. Ideally, each separate part of your video should be its own scene. But if you make that mistake, it's easy to fix. You can drag a take out of the current scene and Borumi will create a new scene from that take. So even if you organize things imperfectly at the beginning, you can clear it up later. You can also freely rearrange scenes in the scene list. So if you're halfway through the recording and you realize you want to add a new section in the middle of the video, you can just add a new scene there, place it where it belongs, and then record that section. This is one of the reasons why scene-based recording is so useful. You don't need to go through the whole video in one go, you can build the video piece by piece. Now let's look at the recording controls on the left. Before we only selected the camera and the microphone, but for our tutorial we probably also want to record the screen. So now I'm going to enable screen recording. If you also want to record audio coming from your computer, for example if you are reacting to a video, recording a software demo with audio, or showing something that produces sound, you can also enable the system sound. This will capture the audio from your computer and include it in the final video. For screen recording, Borumi gives you a few options. You can record the entire screen, you can record a specific region of your screen, or you can record a specific window. In general, I recommend either full screen or region recording when possible, because they tend to be the most stable and predictable options. But if recording a specific window is more convenient for your use case, you can use that as well. Once everything is selected, you can click record and continue recording your next scene. When you're recording your screen, you'll notice that the recorder looks slightly different. Again, remember that the recorder itself does not appear in the final video, so you can move it wherever you want. Now, if you prepare the script, this is where the teleprompter becomes especially useful. You can open the teleprompter in 2 ways. The first way is inside Borumi by going in the Borumi menu, then View, then Open Teleprompter. The second way is from inside the recorder by clicking on the 3-dot menu and choosing Open Script as a separate window. This opens your script in a floating teleprompter window. You can place it above other apps, move it around, resize it, and customize the reading experience. For example, you can change the font size, the alignment, and the general appearance. And if you use a physical teleprompter device like the Elgato prompter, you can move this window into that display and use it as part of your setup. The teleprompter will also automatically follow your voice, so you never get lost. Once you record all your scenes, you can open the Edit tool. And the first thing you'll notice is that all your scenes are already placed in sequence inside the editor. This already saves a lot of time. With traditional editing tools, you might need to import all your files, figuring out which clips come first, arrange everything manually, sync your camera and screen recording, and then start editing. In Borumi, because everything was recorded scene by scene, the timeline is already assembled for you. So the first thing I recommend doing inside the editor is trimming the video. That makes the rest of the editing process much faster. There are a few ways you can trim your video in Borumi. The most manual way is to use the timeline, by going into the clips and then dragging the trim handles. This works, but it can be time consuming, especially for longer tutorials. A faster option is transcript-based editing. On the right side you can see the transcript of your video. If there is a section you want to remove, you can just select the text and then delete it. When you delete it from the transcript, that section is also deleted from the final video. This is much faster when you want to remove full sentences, repeated sections, or parts where you went off track. But there's an even faster faster option, which is automatic silence removal. You can go into the automate section, then remove silences. Borumi will process the video and detect the silent parts, and then it shows you a preview of the proposed trims. The sections in red are the parts that Borumi suggests removing. At this point, you don't have to accept everything automatically. You can play through the video, check how the cuts feel, and then adjust the trim handles if a cut feels too abrupt. You can also delete a proposed trim by selecting it and pressing delete on your keyboard. Once you're happy with the result, you can click confirm. Now Borumi applies those cuts and your video is already much tighter. This is why I recommend trimming first. Once the video is cleaned up, everything else becomes easier. After trimming, the next major feature to understand is layouts. Layouts are one of the most powerful parts of Borumi because they allow you to make your video look good with very little effort. By default, Borumi automatically chooses a layout based on what you recorded. For example, if you only recorded your camera, it will show your camera full screen. If you recorded your camera and screen, it might show you the screen in the center with the camera in the corner. But you can customize this in many ways. To do that, you can open the layout panel, and here Borumi shows you the layouts available for the current section. For example, you might choose a side-by-side layout, a full screen camera layout, or a screen-focused layout. To change it, you just need to click on the layout you want and Borumi applies it. But to really understand how layouts work, we need to talk about one of the most important concepts in Borumi, the control clips. When you change the layout, you will see a yellow layout clip appear in the timeline. That clip tells Borumi use this layout during this part of the video. So from the beginning of that clip till the end of that clip, the video uses the selected layout. So if you want the layout to last longer, drag the end of the clip forward. If you want it to last for less time, drag it back. If you want to change the layout, then select the layout clip and choose a different layout from the panel. The concept of control clips is very important because many things in Borumi work this way. Layouts, screen zooms, blur mask, text, music, captions, they all appear as clips that you can control inside the timeline. Let's look at a practical example. Let's say I recorded both my camera and my screen. At the very beginning of my video, maybe I only want to show my camera because I'm introducing the topic. Then once I start explaining the software, I want to show my screen with my camera in the corner. There are a few ways to do that. The first way is to add a full screen camera layout at the beginning and then drag the clip so it only covers the intro section. Then after that clip ends, the video will switch back to the screen recording layout. Another very useful trick is to use the transcript. You can just select the section of the transcript where you want a specific layout to apply, and then click on the Add button and then select your layout. Borumi will automatically apply that layout for that selected section. You can also create custom layouts manually. For example, if I want my camera to be slightly taller, I can click on the canvas, resize it, and move it wherever I want. Once I do that, Borumi creates a custom layout clip. This works just like the built-in layout, except now the layout is based on my manual adjustments. And if you create a layout that you really like, you can also save it as a favorite. In the layout panel, click on the star icon and Borumi will save that layout so you can reuse it in future videos. To speed up the process, you can also copy and paste layout clips. For example, I can copy a layout clip from one part of the timeline and then paste it somewhere else. You can even copy layouts across projects. And another useful trick is this. You can copy a layout clip, select a section of the transcript, and then press Command V. Borumi will apply the layout to the selected transcript section. Once you understand how layout and control clip works, everything becomes much faster. Now let's talk about screen zooms. If you're recording tutorials or software demos, you'll often want to zoom into a specific part of the screen so that viewers can clearly see what you're doing. Borumi has built-in screen zooms for this. There are two ways to add zooms. You can add them manually or you can generate them automatically. If you click Generate Automatically, Borumi can create zooms based on your mouse activity. For long tutorials, you probably don't want too many zooms, so you can remove the ones you don't need directly from the timeline. You can also customize the zoom. By default, Borumi tries to focus on the cursor or the area where the action happens, but if it doesn't get the focus exactly right, you can also switch to manual focus and then drag the zoom target to the exact area you want to highlight. When you play the video, Borumi will zoom in during the screen zoom clip and then zoom back out when it ends. One thing that can be confusing at first is that when you hover your mouse over the preview, the zoom might temporarily disappear. This is intentional. Borumi disables the zooms and the effects while you hover on the canvas, so you can freely edit and position things without fighting with the zoomed in view. Then when you move your mouse away, the effects appear again. Another thing you can customize is the background of your video. This is useful when you want your video to feel more polished or on brand, and you can do that by going in the canvas panel and then in the background section. Here you can select between many pre-built beautiful wallpapers, solid colors, or even import a custom image. Another very useful feature is blur. Sometimes when recording your screen, you might accidentally show sensitive information, maybe an email address, a private URL, or a customer name, or something else you don't want to appear in the final video. To fix that, you can click on the screen inside the canvas and then press the blur button. Borumi creates a blur rectangle that you can resize and reposition over the sensitive area. And just like layouts and zooms, this creates a control clip in the timeline, so you can decide exactly when the blur appears and disappears. If the sensitive information is only visible for 5 seconds, you can make the blur clip only last 5 seconds. You can also customize how the mask looks. Let's add some visual elements to the video. For example, let's say you want to add text. To do that, open the Elements panel and then select among many of the pre-built text styles. You can double-click on the text to customize the content and use the bar at the top to customize some of the properties. If you want full control, you can also go in the Properties section on the left. Borumi automatically animates the entrance and exit, so the video feels more polished without you needing to do anything. You can also do the same thing with images. If you want to add an image overlay, click to add an overlay and choose the image from your computer. Then you can reposition it, resize it, and decide for how long it appears using the control clip. You can also paste an image directly inside the editor, which is a very convenient way when you're working quickly. If you want to add music, you can do that from the music panel. From there, you can select a sound or music file from your computer. Once you edit, Borumi plays the music in the timeline. The music behaves just like other clips. You can trim it, move it, shorten it, or make it play only during specific sections of the video. For example, you might want music only during the intro of the video, and then stop it after the tutorial ends. You can do that by just resizing the music clip so that it only covers the beginning of the video. Let's talk about captions. To add captions, just open the Captions panel and select one of the many pre-built styles. Once captions are added, you can resize them, reposition them, and customize how they appear in the video. Captions are especially useful for short-form content, social media clips, and any video where people might watch without sounds. Now, sometimes the transcript might have a mistake. Maybe a word was spelled incorrectly or the transcription misunderstood something you said. To fix that, select the incorrect word or section in the transcript and then click Correct. Then type the corrected version and press Enter. Borumi updates the transcript, and that correction also affects the captions. So before exporting, it's a good idea to quickly scan the transcript and fix any important mistakes, especially names, product terms, and technical words. Once you're happy with the edit, it's time to click Export. Here you can choose the export quality. For a high-quality YouTube video, 4K is a good option if you want the sharpest possible result, but Full HD is also completely fine for many videos, especially if you want the smallest file size. Choosing a lower quality also speeds up the export process, which can be useful if you want to just share an internal video. One last thing I want to mention is that Borumi can also be used to create short-form vertical videos. So if you want to create videos for TikTok, Instagram Reels, or YouTube Shorts, you can change the canvas format and select the vertical format. This lets you take the same kind of recording workflow and adapt it for vertical content. I'm not going to cover the full short-form workflow in this video because that deserves its own tutorial, but if you're interested in learning how to create engaging short-form videos in Borumi, leave a comment below and subscribe to the channel because I'll make a dedicated video about that soon. And that's the full beginner workflow. Of course, this only covers a small part of what Borumi can do, but if you understand this workflow, you already have everything you need to create your first video from start to finish. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and if there's a specific part of Borumi you want me to cover in more detail, let me know and I'll create a dedicated tutorial for it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.